CEO salary should be 75 to 85. CFO should be 55 to 70. Companies that are 15 million to 25 million. And it gives you these benchmarks.
They put together stat sheets.
Yeah, and you can run them off. Normally, farms are low paid. Farmers tend to pay themselves low, but then they take money, as crops come in, and they buy themselves cars, planes, and the new equipment. With tractors that have all the bells and whistles. But there are, for a company, all-in salaries at the very low end, $1 million in revenue, all-in salaries could be, $200,000 or $300,000. That's all in everybody's salary because it depends on how many employees you have. So the way I answer it is I go to look at those charts. For example, a finance director, CFO in Scotland for a £10 million business gets paid about half to 2/3 of what a finance director in England gets paid, because everything here is about 1/3 to 1/2 less expensive, and i.e. that's why a lot of talent doesn't come to Scotland when they get out of school, because they don't, Of course, the cost of living here is less than half of what the cost of living down south is. So actually, they get paid slightly more vis-a-vis cost of living. But to live here in Scotland isn't like, unless you live in Edinburgh, isn't like living in any place down south.
So would you say 10% of revenue, overall salary, not everybody's salary?
Correct.
10% of revenue?
10, 12.
10, 12%.
I think it depends on the industry. Like in the dental sector, it's 50% is the salary. And that's the norm. So it depends on which industry you are.
I'm saying a full run, because a dental is more of a practice, right? Like a doctor and a couple of nurses, but there you can have more. But I'm saying a regular running organization with different divisions and all that, 10, 12%.
Yeah, excluding you. Because you're going to pay yourself more. Go ahead.
Okay. So currently, their liabilities are 5 times their net worth. Not a good sign. And then also, the outstanding bank loans are 96% of their account receivable. Very terrible. And then also,
do you say liabilities are 5 times of
the net worth
valuation of enterprise value? What is net worth?
Equities. Balance sheet, sure, yeah. But if you look at the line of credit is 4 million, 4.5 million. It makes sense that the liabilities are quite high.
How can line of credit be 4.5 million? What's turnover?
9
million.
So it's 50%. The line of credit is 50% of revenue?
Yeah, it's a fucked up company.
No. Line of credit is not done by the company. It's given by the bank.
No, but they kept on taking money from the bank.
They extended their...
So it's not line of credit, it's total debt, total money that they've taken. Debt.
No, this is line of credit in addition to debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they kept asking for increases in their line of credit, and it got to the point of $4.5 million. As you can see, that's about a little under 50% of sales, but they're not getting the money in the door.
Okay, 50% of sales. Okay, 50% of revenue.
Yes. So
what
quite high. They didn't name it, but they said
she went to the director of the bank to get that too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's. So we decided that cost of goods sold salary, they're too high, so we made a note of that right here. 35% for salary, and then cost of goods sold overall is 45% of sales.
Is this a small regional bank?
I think so.
Okay. Where you see guidelines get blown up like this are normally with smaller banks, where the branch manager actually has authority to get money out the door, and he's not accountable to anybody else. Or sometimes the branch manager is the president of the bank as well. And based on special relationships, real special relationships, and remember, they're only guidelines. the banking authorities don't have many hard, fast, hard rules, as long as you're not going over their capital structure or against some covenant for the capital structure. So banks really have a lot of latitude, and that's why I tell you when they say the guidelines, that's exactly what they are. They're guidelines. Very seldom will you hear a banker tell you this is firm and fast according to FDIC, Federal Deposit Incorporation, Insurance Corporation. Very seldom will you hear that. But when you do hear that, then that means it's hard and fast. It's not a guideline. Go ahead.
Actually, after thinking about this, I believe that is the case. The owner of this company had a relationship with the head of this bank, so they went directly to the top, basically.
Must have had a hell of a relationship.
Might be in the footnote.
Yeah.
So the bank said going forward, starting in 2018, reminder this is taking place in 2017, they're going to start enforcing these restrictions going forward. So they want to see outstanding loans exceed 75% of accounts receivables and inventory. And then also for total liabilities, they don't want to see anything beyond 3 times the net worth of the company borrowing. So there were 3 questions in this case study. We answered this based on the information in the question and then based on the overall information that we know about the organization. So, should they purchase new manufacturing machines? Currently, the issue is they spent $1.4 million to buy sensors to meet the demand of their current customer, because in-house they can only manufacture enough to meet half of the demand. That's all the equipment capacity that they had. So they had to spend an additional $1.4 million. So they're looking at purchasing all new machinery to be able to meet that demand in-house. That'll cost them $600,000. The service life of the machine is 7 years. It'll cost $170,000 in salary to have 2 operators running this equipment. And then it's going to cost $780,000 for the cost of warehouse, materials, things of that nature that are going to come along with having all this new equipment. So altogether, that's $1.6 million. So based on just this information alone, we say we would make the investment, because this $600,000 is only going to be for the first year. Once you spend the money, we're not going to spend $600,000 again for the next 6 years, since the service life is 7 years. Now, when you take into account everything else that's going on with the company, no, we would not do this.
Well, they're already geared up for yin-yang. I mean,
yeah.
I would ask them to go and fix their account receivable problem first. I mean, no, seriously, there is enough revenue right now for them to be profitable. They need to be able to collect the money. Something not right. They got to fix that first before they spend any nickel on anything new or borrow a nickel more.
And how old are the accounts receivable? How much is over 180 days?
We didn't get this information.
You didn't get this information.
They said about 80% is not collectible.
Well, I mean 80%. Well, then they got to write it off.
80 or 18?
80%.
80. Oh, a huge number.
But, or like switch to a net 30 or pay on
Yeah,
delivery
Sell it to a repo man.
Yeah.
Something out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's where the next question comes in.
Okay.
Next one.
And so this is the case.
That looks like a cow dealer.
The second case was raising capital via private placement. So obviously need money. So they considered raising capital via the OTC exchange. They're a publicly traded listed company, but they decided that wasn't feasible. They weren't going to be able to actually do it. So the only option is private placement, or basically they have an angel investor who's willing to buy 450,000 shares for $3.50 a share. Currently, they have 1.5 million shares outstanding in the company.
So roughly by a third.
Yes. And so in order which would give them $1.5 million, $1.5 million. In order to do the transaction, we're assuming it's an investment bank, they are not asking for money, they're asking for 50,000 shares. So overall, they are giving up exactly a third of the company, and they would get $1.5 million in return. So just based on this information, you said yes, do it. You give up a third, but you maintain majority equity control. Things like that.
They can make the changes that.
Even the equity investor shouldn't put a cent in unless they fix the account receivable.
But it's there. We should take it, right?
Deb, you better get him on the phone right now.
And tell them, no, it's conditional to that. No, it's conditional to account
He's
receivable.
animated again.
Deferred consideration.
There's P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. He was wrong. There's a sucker born every second. Most of them are listening to podcasts.
So that was this question. And the third question is, should they make an acquisition of a smaller company? This company
Based on the information you already gave us. Okay.
Yeah. So this company called Electro Engineering, they manufacture fiber optic sensors. It's a growing market. They have more capability as far as the uses, the different industries. So it gives them a way into additional markets and be ahead of the curve, basically, in this industry. So the owner of Burton's found out that the owner of this company, which is a $4 million revenue company, he'd sell the company for 10 times their 2016 EBITDA. Just 10 times EBITDA right there is a bit of a red flag. We don't like that. It sounds very high. And this owner would want a 100% stock transaction at $4.75 a share. Basically, he valued the company, Burton, the acquiring organization, at $4.75 a share, which is exactly what that company valued itself at. And he would want no money, no cash, all stock. So Burton, the acquiring company, based on $4.75 a share and 1.5 million shares outstanding, is worth a little over $7 million.
That's $4.75.
Yes, per share. All right. And so the asking price, which is 10 times their 2016 EBITDA, would be $6.8 million. So the smaller company wants $6.8 million in stock in the acquiring firm to be bought. Nicholas calculated the book value basically is $2 million. So he basically wants 3 times the book value to sell his company. We didn't like that. And then 10 times EBITDA, we don't like that either. Too high, yes.
I would just say next. Not a motivated seller.
Yeah, we said next as soon as I saw 10 times EBITDA, but we figured we'd walk through.
Stop. Teaching point. You were able to make a decision that quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What did it take? A minute, 2 minutes?
A second? 10 times EBITDA?
Then, and these guys are unsophisticated, more or less, right? Why can't she make that same decision based on the fucking meathead, retard, mongoloids that you deal with? When I tell you it takes me between 1/2 of a second and 2 seconds, yes or no, they did it, let's say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You get the same information all the time, and you finger fuck with it, spreadsheet it. You almost break the fucking program, the spreadsheet program, because you hit that fucking button over and over and over. And it's as obvious as the nose on your face. Next. Another part of the reason, other than getting used to big numbers, this is a big number example, is learning how to build up different fact patterns that that's enough information for me to say no. I might need a little more information if there's a possible yes. But either way, you're talking about seconds, minutes to make a decision. Because time's money. Marcus has proven more than once with his calculations, as he calls them, up here. He makes a decision in, from seconds to minutes. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's how easy it is. Nothing's going to change. 10 times EBITDA isn't going to change from the time he read it to the time he wrote it. When he read it, they knew it was bullshit. When he wrote it, he didn't know it was bullshit. And that's the fact pattern you have to build up. Because it's a sales funnel. And that's why the people that have some selling background, differentiating the difference between a prospect is somebody that'll talk to you, and a suspect is somebody that'll fucking buy from you. There's two differences. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So no, based on the fact that they want 3 times the book value. No, based on the fact they want 10 times EBITDA. And from every angle, we said it was just bad decision. And if they went through with it, it'd be completely stupid because basically the firm being acquired, the owner would end up with $6.8 million worth of $7 million of stock. So he essentially owned the company. As soon as the acquisition was done, he's in charge. So it didn't make sense.
In charge of a pig and a poke.
Maybe you mentioned it before, but how, even if, let's just say these things weren't this much of an issue, one of the big issues from the front end, what Deb keeps reiterating is the accounts receivable issue. Mm-hmm. Let's just say you did acquire, what's to say, what would you be able to correct to help with the accounts receivable? What were the glaring issues? Not even quite follow.
Yeah, I guess you'd be sending, like you were saying, just a factoring company just to get the money, right? You start getting that cash in.
I think
you want to change the contract.
Already doing that.
So I think it's more than that.
You would get your
You want to change the contracts.
You would get your attorneys to renegotiate all your bids with all your vendors and make sure that instead of doing like a net 90 or 180 or whatever, you either have cash on delivery or like at most a net 30, and that way you're getting payment within a 1 month window, and that way they're not floating cash for.
The best way, and Sally's the expert this better than I, the best way to get old receivables in is to not threaten a lawsuit, sue. You see how quickly they come up with fucking money. You'll see how quick some of those 180 days all of a sudden want to work out a payment plan. Some of those, God forbid, 270 days or 360 days want to work out a payment plan. Litigation is a business tool. But when you sue them, they're not going to like you, boys. And when your mom said, you be nice to those people. And just because you're an albino, the sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Sue them. Kind of deal, go to the special kind of, bottom feeder lawyers. Have your O'Melvin & Myers recommend you to a bottom feeder, his nephew or something, and slap and get the sheriffs and repossess their furniture, take their fucking cars away, serve their pregnant wives with papers at 3 a.m. That's how you get the fucking money. I've heard about those things. I've heard about it. Dragging the grandmother out of the house and then burning the furniture in front of her. I've heard about those things. But I think they were done in Austria. But you'd be surprised with a little pressure. Whoa. It's like the pimp. When they say the girl does, I didn't do any business tonight. What does the pimp do?
I'm not a pimp.
No, but you know. But you know a pimp. You've heard about pimps.
I heard about them.
They do ugly things. You don't know.
I don't know. I don't know nothing.
Well, he will neither confirm nor deny. Yeah, but it's not just as when he read 10 times EBITDA, he knew it was horse shit. When he wrote 10 times EBITDA, he knew it was horse shit, right? And so, and even YouTube knows 10 times EBITDA is horse shit. I'll meet you in financial hell, YouTubers. The tsunami's coming!